Welcome to the Hidden Wealth Coins. Imagine opening an old drawer and finding a single penny that could erase your struggles forever. These wheat pennies are not ordinary coins. They are silent survivors of history, mistakes, and time. In rare condition, they carry shocking power, turning cents into millions overnight. One careless sale could destroy a lifetime fortune, while one wise decision could change destiny beyond imagination. Hidden wealth waits quietly for those who truly understand. First up, the 1953 Wheat Penny is one of those quiet coins that looks ordinary at first glance, yet carries a story heavy with mystery, ambition, and whispered fortune. To the untrained eye, it is simply a small copper coin bearing Abraham Lincoln's profile, but to collectors and dreamers, it represents a chapter of American history where metal, mistakes, and timing could turn pocket change into life-altering wealth. The belief that a single cent could rewrite destiny did not appear overnight. It grew slowly through decades of discovery, rumors, and rare finds that reshaped how people see old coins. The Wheat Penny series already had a legendary reputation before 1953, and this particular year became part of that legend because it sat at the crossroads of tradition and change in U.S. coinage history. To understand the power of the 1953 Wheat Penny, you must step back into post-World War II America, a time when the nation was rebuilding, industries were expanding, and money flowed differently than before. Copper was still a strategic material, and mints were under pressure to produce massive quantities of coins for a rapidly growing economy. Millions of wheat pennies were struck, yet perfection was rare. Every coin passed through human hands and mechanical processes that allowed tiny errors to slip through unnoticed. Those errors, invisible at the time, would later become the seeds of extraordinary value. The year 1953 was not about low mintage. It was about survival, condition, and the rare moments when something went wrong in just the right way. The wheat penny design itself already carried emotional weight. Abraham Lincoln symbolized unity, endurance, and sacrifice, while the wheat ears on the reverse spoke of growth and prosperity. By 1953, this design was nearing the end of its life, which added another layer of importance. Coins from transitional eras often gain attention because they mark the closing of a chapter. Collectors decades later would look back and see 1953 not just as another year, but as part of the final heartbeat of a historic design. That emotional attachment drives value just as strongly as metal or rarity, because people do not collect objects, they collect stories. What truly fuels the legend of million-dollar wheat pennies is not the date alone, but the condition. A 1953 wheat penny that survived untouched, never circulated, never cleaned, never damaged, is like a time capsule sealed for 70 years. In such pristine form, the coin becomes extremely scarce, even if millions were originally produced. When collectors speak of unbelievable prices, they are speaking about perfection that borders on impossible. Every microscopic detail, every sharp edge, every untouched surface matters. In the coin world, perfection is rarer than gold, and that is where fortunes are born. Beyond condition, the real fire comes from minting anomalies. Some 1953 wheat pennies were born different due to misaligned dies, unusual metal flow, or subtle production flaws that were never intended. These are not mistakes you can see easily. They require expert eyes and magnification. A coin that looks normal to most people may reveal a rare doubling, an off-center strike, or an abnormal texture under examination. When such a coin appears, it becomes a singular object, something that cannot be reproduced. Collectors do not compete for common coins. They compete for uniqueness, and competition is what drives prices into shocking territory. Stories circulate in the collecting world about families discovering old jars, drawers, or inherited boxes containing forgotten wheat pennies. Most are ordinary, but once in a while, one coin changes everything. These stories spread because they tap into a universal human hope, the idea that history might be hiding quietly in your home. The 1953 wheat penny has become part of this mythology, not because every example is valuable, but because a few exceptional ones shattered expectations. When one rare coin sells for an extraordinary amount, it casts a long shadow, making every similar coin feel like a sleeping giant. The idea that a single cent could be worth millions is often misunderstood. It is not the year alone that creates wealth, but a rare combination of preservation, anomaly, and demand. Many people make the mistake of rushing to sell without understanding what they hold, sometimes losing the chance of a lifetime. Coins are not like stocks that change daily. Their value depends on patience, knowledge, and proper evaluation. A true collector knows that rushing is the enemy of fortune, and history rewards those who wait. The 1953 wheat penny also represents a deeper lesson about value itself. When it was minted, it had the same purchasing power as every other cent. No one at the mint imagined it would one day be discussed in the same sentence as unimaginable wealth. This transformation happened because time filters objects, leaving only the rarest survivors. History is ruthless, and only a few coins make it through decades without scars. Those survivors become symbols of endurance, and people pay dearly for symbols that cannot be replaced. Collectors are not just buying copper, they are buying a moment frozen in time. A flawless 1953 wheat penny is proof that something small can escape chaos, circulation, and decay. That idea is powerful, almost poetic. It is why collectors across the world search relentlessly, examining thousands of coins for a single miracle. When demand meets rarity, logic disappears, and numbers climb beyond expectation. This is how ordinary metal turns into extraordinary money. The market surrounding rare coins is driven by emotion as much as logic. Pride, competition, nostalgia, and status all play a role. Owning a legendary coin is not just about profit, it is about possession of history. When collectors with deep pockets compete, prices do not follow normal rules. The 1953 wheat penny, when it appears in exceptional form, becomes a trophy, and trophies do not obey standard pricing. Many people underestimate the danger of ignorance. Cleaning, polishing, or mishandling a coin can destroy its value instantly. A coin that might have been worth life-changing money can become nearly worthless through a single careless action. That is why experienced collectors treat old coins with almost religious respect. Knowledge protects value, and patience multiplies it. The legend of the 1953 wheat penny continues because it sits at the intersection of history, chance, and hope. It reminds people that wealth is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is small, silent, and waiting. This is why those who truly understand coins never dismiss a wheat penny casually. They know that history does not announce itself, it hides. In the end, the 1953 wheat penny is not a promise that everyone will become rich, but it is proof that extraordinary outcomes can come from ordinary beginnings. It teaches that fortune favors awareness, restraint, and respect for history. For those who hold one today, the real power is not in spending it quickly, but in understanding what it represents. Because in rare moments, history rewards the patient, and a single cent can indeed change a life overnight. Next up, the 1951 wheat penny stands as one of those silent witnesses of American history that most people overlook, yet it carries a presence far heavier than its small size suggests. At first glance, it appears no different from countless other old copper cents, but within the world of collectors and historians, it holds a reputation built on survival, rarity of condition, and the strange way time can transform ordinary objects into symbols of unimaginable wealth. This coin was born in an era when America was stepping into modern power, and every cent produced during that time carried the weight of a nation reshaping itself after war, struggle, and sacrifice. When the 1951 wheat penny was minted, it was never intended to be special. It was created to circulate, to be spent, dropped, scratched, and forgotten in pockets and cash registers across the country. Millions of people used it without a second thought, unaware that decades later, a tiny fraction of these coins would become objects of obsession. What makes this year intriguing is not scarcity at birth, but scarcity through survival. Time is the true judge, and it erased most examples through wear, damage, and neglect, leaving behind only a handful that escaped untouched. The design itself plays a powerful role in its appeal. Abraham Lincoln's image represents endurance and unity, while the wheat ears on the reverse symbolize growth and prosperity. By 1951, this design had already become deeply embedded in American identity. People grew up with these coins, saw them daily, and trusted them without question. That familiarity makes the transformation of a simple cent into a potential fortune even more shocking. When something common becomes rare, the contrast fuels desire, and desire fuels value. The true magic of the 1951 wheat penny lies in condition so perfect that it feels almost unnatural. A coin that avoided circulation, fingerprints, moisture, and careless handling for more than 70 years becomes something extraordinary. Such preservation is not just rare, it is miraculous. In the coin world, perfection is not measured by age alone, but by how little time has managed to leave its mark. A flawless 1951 wheat penny becomes a frozen moment, untouched by history while still carrying all of it within its metal. Then there are the quiet irregularities, the tiny deviations that separate legend from commonality. During the minting process, pressure, alignment, and metal flow had to work in harmony. When they did not, subtle differences were born. These differences were never intentional, yet they created coins that stand alone. Such pieces are not valuable because they are old, but because they are unique. Uniqueness is the most powerful currency in the collecting world, and it can drive values into territory that feels unreal to ordinary people. Stories surrounding valuable wheat pennies often sound unbelievable, yet they persist because they reflect human experience. A forgotten jar, an inherited box, a coin passed down without explanation. The 1951 wheat penny has become part of this mythology because it reminds people that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides quietly in plain sight. The idea that life-changing wealth could sit unnoticed for decades captures the imagination and keeps hope alive for collectors and dreamers alike. It is important to understand that not every 1951 wheat penny carries extreme value, and this is where knowledge separates wisdom from loss. Many people rush to sell based on rumors, only to regret it later. True value reveals itself slowly, through careful evaluation and patience. Coins reward those who resist impulse. A collector who understands the weight of history knows that rushing to sell is often the greatest mistake one can make. The market for rare coins is shaped by emotion just as much as logic. Pride, competition, nostalgia, and the desire to own something irreplaceable all collide when a truly exceptional coin appears. When collectors with deep resources compete for a single example, prices no longer follow ordinary rules. The 1951 wheat penny, when it reaches this level, stops being currency and becomes a symbol. Symbols do not have ceilings, they have stories. Another critical truth is how easily value can be destroyed. Cleaning, polishing, or improper storage can erase decades of potential worth in seconds. What looks like improvement to an untrained eye is often damage in the eyes of experts. That is why experienced collectors treat old coins with restraint and respect. Preservation is not about making something look new. It is about protecting what time has left untouched. The fascination with the 1951 wheat penny also reflects a deeper human lesson. Wealth does not always appear as luxury or excess. Sometimes it exists as quiet potential, waiting for understanding. This coin teaches that value is not assigned at birth, but earned through survival. It survived economic shifts, design changes, and the slow erosion of everyday use. That survival is what transformed it from a cent into a contender for extraordinary worth. As years pass, the number of truly exceptional 1951 wheat pennies can only decrease. Damage, loss, and careless handling continue to thin the population. Meanwhile, interest grows, and new collectors enter the market driven by curiosity and ambition. When supply shrinks and desire expands, history shows that prices follow a powerful upward path. This is not speculation. It is the natural outcome of rarity meeting demand. The 1951 wheat penny does not promise overnight riches to everyone, but it offers something more meaningful, proof that history can reward awareness. It stands as a reminder that small things can carry immense power when time reshapes them. Those who hold such a coin today hold more than copper. They hold a fragment of endurance, chance, and forgotten potential. In the end, the true power of the 1951 wheat penny is not just in its possible price, but in what it represents. It symbolizes patience over impulse, knowledge over rumor, and respect over haste. For those who understand its story, it is not just a coin, but a silent reminder that fortune sometimes arrives disguised as something ordinary, waiting for the right moment to reveal its true weight. Next up, the 1955 wheat penny is not just another old American coin. It is one of the most talked about cents in history, a piece of metal that quietly became a legend without ever asking for attention. At the moment it was created, no one imagined that this single cent would one day be associated with jaw-dropping value, whispered stories of sudden wealth, and life-changing discoveries. It entered the world as a routine object, meant to pass through countless hands, yet destiny had other plans. Over time, this coin grew into a symbol of how chance, history, and imperfection can combine to create something extraordinarily powerful. The era that produced the 1955 wheat penny was one of confidence and expansion in the United States. The country was moving forward rapidly, industries were growing, and everyday life was speeding up. Money had to keep pace with this growth, and the mint worked relentlessly to meet demand. In such an environment, perfection was expected but not always achieved. Speed and pressure created conditions where subtle differences could slip through unnoticed. Those differences would later separate the ordinary from the legendary, turning a mass-produced cent into an object of obsession. The wheat penny design itself already carried emotional and historical weight. Abraham Lincoln's face represented resilience and unity, while the wheat ears on the reverse symbolized nourishment, growth, and the promise of prosperity. By 1955, this design was deeply familiar to Americans, almost invisible because of how common it was. That familiarity is what makes the 1955 wheat penny so shocking today. Something once ignored now commands attention, proving that value often hides behind routine and repetition. What truly elevates the 1955 wheat penny into a different realm is the way imperfection became its greatest strength. During its creation, a rare and dramatic deviation occurred, producing coins that looked unmistakably different from normal examples. At the time, these coins circulated freely, spent without hesitation, and treated like any other cent. People noticed something odd, but few understood its importance. That misunderstanding allowed history to scatter potential fortune across the country, hiding it in plain sight. Condition plays an almost mythical role in the value of this coin. A 1955 wheat penny that survived decades without heavyware becomes something nearly impossible. Most were damaged, scratched, or lost to time, leaving only a tiny number in exceptional shape. When collectors encounter one that looks almost untouched, it feels like discovering a relic protected by fate itself. Such preservation transforms the coin from a curiosity into a contender for astonishing value, because perfection magnifies rarity beyond imagination. The stories surrounding the 1955 wheat penny are what keep its legend alive. Tales of ordinary people discovering one among loose change or inherited collections have circulated for decades. These stories endure because they touch a deep human belief that life can change suddenly and silently. The idea that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in something so small gives hope a physical form. Whether every story is true or not matters less than the fact that the coin made such stories possible. What many people fail to understand is that true value does not reveal itself to impatience. The 1955 wheat penny rewards knowledge, restraint, and timing. Those who rush to sell without understanding what they hold often lose the greatest opportunity of their lives. In the world of rare coins, speed destroys wealth while patience protects it. This is why experienced collectors move carefully, knowing that history does not repeat itself easily. The emotional side of the coin market cannot be ignored. Collectors do not merely buy metal, they buy significance. Owning a legendary coin is a statement of passion, status, and respect for history. When two determined collectors desire the same rare piece, price becomes secondary. Competition drives numbers beyond reason, and logic gives way to pride and desire. This is how a 1-cent coin can climb into values that feel unreal. Another critical factor is how fragile value truly is. A single cleaning attempt, a careless polish, or improper storage can erase decades of potential in seconds. What seems like improvement to an untrained eye is often destruction to a collector. The 1955 wheat penny teaches a harsh lesson. Preservation is more important than appearance. True worth lies in authenticity, not shine. The continued fascination with this coin also reflects a deeper truth about history. Not everything valuable announces itself immediately. Some things need time, context, and understanding before their importance becomes clear. The 1955 wheat penny was never meant to be famous, yet history elevated it because it survived in a form that defied expectation. That transformation is what makes it powerful. As years pass, the number of exceptional 1955 wheat pennies continues to shrink. Loss, damage, and ignorance slowly erase them from existence. At the same time, curiosity grows, and more people seek to understand what they might be holding. This imbalance between decreasing supply and rising interest fuels the coin's legendary status. History shows that such conditions rarely lead to decline. The idea that a single cent could change a life overnight is not just fantasy. It is a reflection of how rarity and demand interact. The 1955 wheat penny stands as proof that extraordinary outcomes often come from ordinary beginnings. It reminds people that fortune does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it waits quietly, disguised as something small and familiar. In the end, the true power of the 1955 wheat penny is not just its potential price, but the lesson it carries. It teaches respect for history, patience over impulse, and knowledge over rumor. For those who hold one today, the greatest danger is not theft or loss, but ignorance. Because when history decides to reward survival, even a single cent can carry the weight to change a fortune overnight. Next up, the 1957 wheat penny appears modest, almost forgettable, yet it carries a quiet intensity that few people recognize until it is too late. At the moment of its creation, it was nothing more than a working cent, designed to move quickly through the hands of a busy nation. No headlines announced its arrival, no one celebrated its release, and no one imagined that decades later it would be spoken about in the same breath as unimaginable wealth. This coin's power lies not in loud beginnings, but in the way time slowly transformed it from everyday currency into a historical survivor with hidden potential. The America that produced the 1957 wheat penny was changing rapidly. The country was stepping closer to modern life, technology was advancing, and society was moving forward with confidence. Coins were tools, not treasures. They were minted in enormous numbers and spent without hesitation. Because of this, survival became the rarest achievement. Most 1957 wheat pennies were worn down, damaged, or lost to time, leaving only a small number that escaped heavy circulation. Those survivors now carry a weight far greater than their size suggests. The wheat penny design itself adds depth to its story. Abraham Lincoln's image symbolizes endurance and moral strength, while the wheat ears on the reverse represent growth and stability. By 1957, this design had been part of American life for decades, making it almost invisible through familiarity. That familiarity is exactly what allowed valuable examples to go unnoticed. When something feels common, people stop paying attention, and history quietly hides its rewards inside that blindness. What makes the 1957 wheat penny especially intriguing is not the year alone, but what happened to it after leaving the mint. Coins that avoided scratches, corrosion, and careless handling became rarities by accident, not intention. A 1957 wheat penny preserved in near-perfect condition feels almost unnatural, as if it stepped out of time untouched. In the world of collectors, such preservation elevates a coin beyond normal value and into a category where price becomes flexible and expectation dissolves. Then there are the subtle irregularities that can exist within this year. The minting process was powerful but imperfect, relying on pressure, alignment, and timing. When these elements failed to synchronize perfectly, small deviations were born. These differences were never meant to exist, yet they created coins that stand apart from millions of others. Uniqueness is the strongest force in the collector world, and when uniqueness meets high demand, values can rise into astonishing territory. The legends surrounding valuable wheat pennies persist because they are rooted in real human experience. Stories of coins found in jars, drawers, or inherited collections continue to circulate because they are believable. The 1957 wheat penny feeds this belief by reminding people that history often waits quietly. It does not announce itself. It hides in ordinary places, depending on chance and awareness to be discovered. Many people misunderstand value and rush toward quick decisions. This is where fortunes are lost. A coin with true potential requires patience and understanding. Selling without knowledge often means trading life-changing opportunity for temporary relief. The 1957 wheat penny teaches that restraint is power. Time has already done the hardest work. The final step belongs to the holder. Emotion plays a massive role in the rare coin market. Collectors are driven by desire, pride, nostalgia, and competition. When a rare and exceptional coin appears, logic steps aside. Prices climb because ownership becomes symbolic. Owning a legendary piece of history is not about metal, it is about identity. This emotional pressure is what allows a 1-cent coin to cross into values that seem impossible. Another crucial truth is how easily value can vanish. Cleaning, polishing, or improper storage can destroy decades of potential in moments. What looks like improvement to an untrained eye is often irreversible damage. True collectors understand that originality matters more than shine. The 1957 wheat penny demands respect, not alteration. As years continue to pass, the population of truly exceptional 1957 wheat pennies continues to shrink. Damage, neglect, and ignorance quietly erase them. At the same time, interest grows as more people learn what history can hide. When supply decreases and curiosity increases, the result is predictable. History has shown again and again that such imbalance fuels dramatic increases in value. The fascination with this coin goes beyond money. It represents a deeper idea that small things can carry enormous weight. It reminds people that wealth does not always appear glamorous or obvious. Sometimes it looks ordinary, even boring, until the right moment reveals its truth. This belief is what keeps collectors searching and stories alive. The idea that a single cent could change a life overnight is not fantasy. It is a reflection of how rarity, condition, and demand interact over time. The 1957 wheat penny stands as proof that value is not fixed at birth. It is shaped by survival, attention, and respect for history. In the end, the true power of the 1957 wheat penny is not just in its potential price, but in the lesson it carries. It teaches patience over haste, knowledge over rumor, and preservation over impulse. For those who hold one today, the greatest risk is not missing a sale, but misunderstanding what history may have already placed in their hands. Because sometimes, a single cent holds the power to rewrite a fortune overnight.